Hi, my name is Leanne Schmidt, and I am the founder and creator of ARTKITS.com. Today we are going to be doing one of my most favorite arts of all time, which is water marbling. And the type of water marbling that I do is a derivative of Ebru. It's an ancient art from Turkey. It started around the 15th century with a seaweed water thickener and watercolors. We will be using the same water thickener agent that they used way back when, but we will be using acrylic paints instead. So, let's get started. Okay, so you don't get the phone, but today I will show you how to do the bird. This is a painting that you do on water, and then it adheres to your surface and lifts up, and this is what you get when you're finished. So in your kit, you will get your pan, and you'll get an apron, and it has some gloves on the inside. You can take those out, put that on just before you open your paints. So you can set that aside for now, and then your kit will also have 10 paints. These are highly pigmented, and before you use them, you should always shake them very well. You should shake them now, and then you should shake them again when you're using them. Each time you use them, just put your finger over, shake, and you'll be good. The pigment is so strong, it settles to the bottom very easily. So it's a good habit to be in. Okay, the next thing that's in your kit is your stylus set. Your set includes this funky comb that has these 3 prongs and these funky prongs and a regular comb kind of thing. And then also some skewers that will serve as styling sticks. And then I'll set that there. And then you will also have carrageen. Some people in the United States refer to this as carrageenan, but my friend who's an artist from Turkey, she says carrageen, so I say carrageen. And what you're going to do with this carrageen is you're going to mix it with 4 cups of cold water, put it into a blender, and mix it on high for about 1 minute. The alternative to a blender is a whisk, and you would really need to stir it for about 10 minutes. So, and that's a really long time to stir anything. So, 4 cups of cold water on high, 1 minute in the blender. The other thing that your kit will have is a scrap pack. And this is really practice paper. You can keep it, sometimes you get really beautiful effects on your paper, so you can keep these, you can frame them, you can give them away, you can laminate them, you can do lots of things with them, or, if you screw up, you can just throw it out. But it is nice paper, and you can use it, and it is good to test with at first. This is actually a special kit for a subscription that I'm doing. So this kit includes not only the scrap packs, but also wood coasters that have cork on the back, and note cards and envelopes. So your kit will have 8 note cards. Let's see, they're already scored. So after you paint them, you can fold them up, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And then the last thing your kit has are puzzles, because nothing is more cool than doing a puzzle with water marbling Ebru. It's very cool. And these are not overly complex puzzles, but you'll find that they do present challenges when you go to put them back together, just because the lines are just really interesting. So there's those. Your kit will also have a bookmark and a base piece of paper at the bottom. So that is everything in your kit. So right now I'm going to go ahead and get started with my carrageen in the water. Be very careful to move everything away from the water, because if anything gets wet, it will not paint. The paint will not adhere to anything that is wet, which is a good way to mask if you're interested in masking. which we're not going to cover today. So just dump it all into your cold water. Now this will thicken the water, and this is what allows the paint to float on top. What is not included in your kit is obviously this, and also paper towels. So you'll need to get some paper towels. You should need, you don't need large paper towels. If you have a select size, you could probably get away with maybe 10 sheets of those. I'm going to be using like the brown kind, like this. You can use whatever works for you. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on for a minute. I'm going to turn you off, and I'll be back when the water is blended, and we'll get started from there. Okay, so I just finished blending the water, and I want to show you this. It has a lot of bubbles in it, and when you're doing Ebru, the last thing you want are bubbles. You can't help it though. The bubbles are part of the process. So if you can set this out for about an hour, the bubbles will release themselves, and then you can swipe off the last bubbles with your paper towels. If you don't have an hour, it's not the end of the world. It just, you know, you can still work with it, but you will get better results if you wait a little while. You can let it sit in there, or you can put it directly into your pan, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just pour this into my pan. And this is a bigger space, so the bubbles have a better chance of dissipating in this bigger, wider environment. So give it a little time to work its way out. Rinse out your, mix out your blender, and you know, kind of do some peripheral work while this is resting. Even if you can even do this a day before if you want. Put it in the fridge, and you know, like put it in a cup, or you know, like a container in the fridge for a day, and then you can bring it back out. Okay, so I'm gonna let this set for a little bit, and I will be back. Okay, so while the water is settling and the bubbles are dissipating, I thought I'd show you some really cool pieces that you can do with this kit. This is on fabric, so I guess you can't actually do it with this kit, but okay. Okay, so while our bubbles are dissipating, I thought I would show you a little bit of work that I've done with water marbling. It's a really just such a beautiful, beautiful art. This is a fabric that I worked on satin, and this is just a regular, you know, satin material. And I will show you how to do this design. It's really fun to do. And I have a couple pieces that I'll show you. Let's see. Now this is the bird, and I will show you how to do this piece on a smaller scale. You can do this on your note cards if you want. You can also do it on your puzzle piece. And there are different versions of the bird. They all have the same general it's the same general technique. It's really not hard to do, but it can take a little bit of practice. But good thing you have scrap packs, so you can practice. Here's another piece. This is really fun to do, and it, you know, it's, you know, same thing. It's just regular fabric, but when you look at it, it really does have a real 3D effect. And I got into these for a while, so I did a bunch of these. So I'll show you how to do these. Yeah, I'll just show you a few of these. They're just super pretty. And these are all the same colors that you're using. So, look at one of the coolest things about this art, let's see if I can show you, is you get every single color every line you can see. The colors don't mix. They don't turn to mud. They retain their intensity. So you get something like this. Like, look at these like beautiful peacock colors. And then, you know, you've got some reds over here. And the red is really, really striking. And then this one here has some greens. Let's see if you can see just how pretty those are. Okay, and then I will flip these over so as not to confuse. But here's some note cards that I'll show you how to do. These are flowers, and this is just swirls. Swirls are a lot of fun. Same thing with this one. And then here's one more with flowers. So you can kind of see. And I'll show you how to do these. Here we go. A lot of things I learned to do online. This is one of those arts. The history behind this is kind of probably different for most people, but I was doing paint pouring, and a friend of mine asked me if I could paint wedding gowns, and so of course I said yes, and of course I had no idea what I was talking about. And here's a bird on one of the note cards, and here's the other one, so you can do two in the same order. And so I said yes, and then he donated a bunch of wedding gowns to me, and I could not bring myself to pour paint on these dresses. They were so pretty. So I learned how to water marble so that I could paint the wedding gowns. And I'll show you some pictures of those at the end. These are actually kind of sorry attempts at tulips. They're still kind of fun. And here's one, another one with flowers. Like these, they're kind of like groovy flowers. They're very easy to do. You'll shock yourself by learning just some very simple techniques here. And here's the last one with some flowers. Again, just really pretty. I mean, the note cards are just really a lot of fun to do. And then, oh, actually I have a few more. Lucky you, I did a lot of different things. So all these colors are in your kit. These are not other colors. Everything here is something you have access to. So now this is done with a wave. This is actually not wrinkled. I mean, some of them do get a little wrinkled when you do this. And what you do to handle that, after they're completely dry, you can put them under a stack of books, and that'll help flatten them out. Same thing here. This is not wrinkled. It may appear that way. This is actually a pattern called the wave. You can do this in the water by simply moving the pan as you're laying it down. I'll show you how to do that. That's actually pretty cool. And then this one here is this is just the result of swirls. Look at how pretty that is. Can you see? Here we go. Okay. And then here is the bird again. I love doing the bird. So it's actually very easy. You will shock yourself. And I won't tell anybody that I told you. Here's another one. This is mostly swirls. And here's another one with some flowers. Okay, so those are those. In your kit, you will also have, here we go. You will also have the wood coasters, so you can do things like this. Your coasters have cork on the back. You can do this. These colors are all in your kit. This is swirls. And when you lay them down, you can actually, you have two in your kit, so you can actually lay them next to each other so that they come across as a complete set. It's actually not hard to do. In fact, let's see, I did that with these. So you can kind of see how they came together. I think it was this way. That seems like it's about right. So you just need like to be just a little bit away. Here, I'm sorry. You need to be just a little bit away for, you know, to catch up with the design. And then your kit also includes these fabulous puzzles. And I just think this is so fun. So here it is, one that's done. And I'll show you how to push it down so that you can get a front puzzle and a back puzzle. So that's one. And these are put together. I'm not going to take them apart because I don't want to put them back together. But this one here is kind of coming apart. See? So, you know, they do come apart after they're fully dry. I would encourage you to let these dry for, you know, like a solid day. Make sure there's no dampness to them at all because they will get really wet. Same thing. Here's the back side. And here's the front. And this one here is uber pretty. See, look at all these lines. Now when you take this apart, it gets a little tricky to put it back together. You think, oh, well, this is just a little puzzle, you know, won't take any time at all. But it's a little, you know, they can be a little bit more complex than you realize, just because the colors are so, you know, well, it's not just the colors, but it's also, you know, the swirls and the designs and the way the colors work together. So all of this is in your kit, and this is what we're going to do today. So I'm going to move all of these things out of the way. The water is just about ready. I let it sit for a couple of hours. You can do that. You can let it sit overnight and then come back to it the next day. I wouldn't let it sit out for more than 24 hours without refrigeration. Okay, so let me find a glove. Now this is probably a good time to put your gloves on and your apron, because we're going to clean up the bubbles and then we're going to get started painting. So first things first, we're going to clean up these bubbles. Now our supplies are really very expensive, so I tend to be very I don't say thrifty because I'm not really that thrifty, but I mean I can be, but I just hate wasting, you know, I hate wasting supplies. So even, you know, something as simple as paper towel, I just don't want to waste it. And I'll drag it across, and you can do this after every painting, because you'll need to get the colors out. And you'll see, once something is wet, it will not paint. That's good to know if you want to mask something, or also if you need to dry it before you actually put it into the water, because if you do put it in and it's wet, the paint will not take to it. So it has its good parts and its bad parts. Okay, so we have the scrap pack. So let's start with that first. Okay, you have different sizes in here. Everybody has, you know, a similar set. This is nicer paper. This isn't typing paper. Although typing paper could work. It would get very, very wrinkly. Okay, so I've already pulled out my paints. I just use the same set. And always, always, always make sure that you shake these really good, because this is acrylic paint, but it is highly pigmented and it's very easy for it to settle at the bottom. So especially your white, red, and pink, you want to make sure that you shake those for a solid minute. And sometimes, like your pink, you may notice some settling, like white or red. It just depends on which. I think usually it's white. When you see that, just shake it until you don't see that white anymore, and it will go away. Just have to shake it really hard. And you notice, I don't know if you can see, but I do still have some bubbles in here, so I will come back through with my paper towel one more time before I start laying the colors in. Okay, so now you can see with this pink, there's no white, or, you know, there's no white in here. So it's all been shaken out really well. And every time that I go to put a color in, I just shake it. It keeps the pigment from settling, and it keeps your colors very vibrant and pretty. So now if you want something softer, the key to that is to use less color. So you would literally put less paint in the pan. If you want a richer color, you would put a little more in. You know, like more vibrant colors. So, okay, so I'm going to get my paper out of here while I do this. And I'm going to just rip this in half. And I'm going to try to pull those bubbles to the side. And then just gently scrape it off. Okay, so it's still giving me a little bit of trouble here. Alright, that looks good. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. I see a little bit in here. Bubbles, every time you have a bubble, that could end up as a blank spot on your final piece. So you don't want bubbles. They're sort of like, they're just not the good part of this. Okay, so you're going to do this literally one drop at a time. I start with black. Even if you don't really want a lot of black in yours, you won't necessarily see it, but black spreads out really well. So you'll see I'm just putting 4 drops of black in there. That's all. And the color that spreads the most besides black is red. And so I like to put my far spreading colors in first, because I know they're always going to act like that. They're always going to spread far. Other colors won't spread quite as much, and this is due to the pigments, and it's also due to the ox gall that's in it. And ox gall is really the gall of an ox. It's the oil, and it helps the paint spread across the water. So I'm sure you really wanted to know all about that. So anyway, so now we've got our far spreading colors in here. Now we can just do whatever we want. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. Now I'm going to come in. You notice what didn't happen here? The red did not mix with the black. And this teal, or turquoise maybe, is not going to mix with the red. So you can come in and you can drop it right over the color, the last color, like what I'm doing here, or you can give it its own new place, like that. I tend to put the lids back on because I don't like my lids to get mixed up. Okay, so this turquoise is really pretty with this purple. The purple is really, really rich. Now I'm going to open up my stylus set because I didn't want that bubble to stay there. So I'll just keep that handy. Okay, so now I'm going to come in and just keep adding. Now when you add these, you want to add them just one drop at a time. And that's how you get those vivid lines. Okay, let's see. Now, I set these colors down here in a kind of random way. And sometimes you'll have that where you'll be just squeezing out one drop and oops, 2 drops comes out. Not the end of the world. It's okay to do that. And the color that you end with is usually going to be the color that'll be the most dominant in your final piece. So I'm probably going to end with blue right now, at least for this part. Now you notice what's not happening here? This green does not spread the same as the black and the red. It's just the chemical makeup of the colors. Okay, so, oh, I didn't do pink yet. So I'm going to do, actually I'm going to do white. Now, why would you do white when you are painting a white paper? Because you won't have white in there unless you do. So white can give you really crisp lines. You almost don't notice it in your final piece, but it can be really quite stunning and very effective. So I'll put that in there. And now I will put the pink over that. This pink is really like gumball pink. It's really pretty. Remember, when you open it, before you open it, shake it real quick. Okay, so I have a couple of bubbles. So I'll just come in here with my stylus and I'll break it up. Now I will also just do this just to kind of clean it off. It does not matter if your wood stick gets paint on it. Okay, and now yellow. So this is just one of every color, which means that by the time I put the blue down, there will be 10 colors in this pan, which is actually quite a lot because this is a smaller pan. And so we'll get some really nice vivid colors. Now you can do, 2 colors if you want, although that's a different art called suminagashi, which is actually a Japanese art. We won't really go into that. But the colors are really more of a Turkish art. Okay, so now I've ended on blue. And for this, I'm just going to use this stylus. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit for you. If I can find the zoom. Okay. Just looks like green eggs and ham, huh? Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in And just go back and forth, just slow. The water is thick, so the paint is just literally sitting right on top. And as I put the stylus through, it is just gliding through. And it is incredibly relaxing. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. Now, let's try something else. Do the same thing the other way, and what do you know? There are those feathers. You notice how the colors, they don't ever blend. They keep their original color, and each time you come through with a stick, they form new patterns with the same colors. So now we'll take one of our pieces. I'll take this piece because I think this is really pretty. And I don't feel like I have any mess ups either. But if you do this and maybe you don't like something, don't keep going through it. Maybe it's better to just do a quick swirl and let it go. But if you do like it and you feel like you don't have anywhere that maybe you wish you could have done something different, just go ahead and lay it in. And you want to go down like this. And once the paper touches, that's it. It is in the water. Okay, and what happens if the paint gets on the other side? Nothing. Nothing at all happens. The world does not come to an end. Nothing blows up. You just have paint on the other side of the paper. So I could just put my finger in here and it would paint my finger. See that? Okay, so that's just a little fun. But now I will take this out and I will literally slide it across the top, and you are not going to lose any paint on it. And here we go. This is what it looks like. Is that not so cool? Okay, so let me find a nice little home for this. I do not ever put these on paper or plastic or paper towels. Put them on plastic, or you can put them in an aluminum pan if you want, if you have another one. You can even put these like on a cookie sheet. Yeah. So I'm just going to set it in here and let it dry. And now there is still some paint lingering on the top. And let me show you what happens to that when you put a dry piece of, any kind of dry paper on it. Okay, so this is kind of cool. So what I'll do is I'll just come in and I'll literally just drop this whole thing in here. And what I'm doing is I'm picking up all of the paint. I may have missed some just because the paper towel, but I'm going to do the same thing we did with the piece of paper that we wanted to keep. And let me show you what happens. It comes out on the paper towel too. As long as the paper towel is dry to begin with, you can do this. Now sometimes you may find that you want to keep the paint in there. And you can do that. I'm not going to keep this. I'm just going to throw this out. But you can do that. And once the paint falls to the bottom, which happened along the bottom here. Let me see if I can get that better. Down along this side here, it fell to the bottom. It doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine as long as it's down there and not on top. So I'm going to bring this in. I'm mostly just... I feel like I already got all the paint, so I just want to make sure I'm getting all the bubbles. And for the most part, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so now, so we've done a piece of paper. But let me show you, we can do a couple pieces of paper at the same time. So, what does that look like? Again, I usually start with black all the time. And that's mostly because I think that it gives it depth. Like, here, let me show you this. You think, oh no, I don't want black in mine. You know, you hardly see it. But it does give your piece some depth. See the white in there? You don't really think about it, but you did intentionally add that to give it clarity. So, you know, don't be afraid to add black and white, you know, thinking that it's going to be too much or too harsh. Just add a little bit. Just, you know, you can do it random. You know, like here, I'm just going to be kind of random. There, 5 drops of black is all I'm going to add to this. Okay, so now maybe I want a piece that's going to be like blues, you know, something ocean-like, you know, something that reminds me of the ocean. Like I did this for a friend of mine named Mike. He wanted some special teals and greens, and so I did a whole series for him, all custom colors, and it was really, really pretty, all satin. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so now I just did blue, and for some reason these are giving me bubbles. No sweat, you just pop them out. We're going to add a little bit of white, and we're going to do it sort of random. We're going to do it in between these colors. Maybe I'll do one more in there, and another one over here. And I'm doing this just because I really like the definition that the white gives a piece. And also, if we're going to do something that has anything to do with the ocean, well, the ocean has some of that, you know, white foam. Okay, so let's add a little bit of green. So I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this a habit on this piece. I'm going to do just these colors, you know, just the blues, the greens, the turquoise, and the white. So I'm going to add more white again. Remember, shake every time. Just shake. Okay, so this time got some white there. Okay, and now I've got turquoise. Remember, shake. Oops, sorry. Okay, so here's some turquoise. Okay, now do I want to end with turquoise or do I want to end with blue? I think I'm going to end with turquoise. Okay, so now this time, let's do something a little different. So we haven't introduced you to these things yet. Okay, so now we can do the same thing we did before. We can come in and we can do this kind of motion and we get something a little smaller. Now what I see are big areas of the turquoise. Okay, so now I think, boy, I might like to break that up a little. So you can do that. Maybe add some swirls in here. Bring that through. There. Okay, so now we have that. And I'm going to show you two pieces. That was the point of this one. Okay, so I'm going to set this piece in here. And I'm going to let it drop. And now, this will fit. It will fit. Okay. And at the minute it touches the water, it immediately adheres to the paper. So what does this look like? Well, let me show you. So we glide it over the top, and voila, look at that. See how pretty? Okay, so and now comes the smaller piece. Look at that. Okay, so now this will dry. And we'll do the same thing before, except this time I'm going to come in and bust these up myself. Okay, so now how do you do some of the stuff we have going on in here in this kit? You know, you can use these test pieces to test colors, to test color arrangements in your scrap pack. You know, you might want to try reorganizing them a little bit. There we go. You know, there's a lot of things you can do with it and ways you can do it. So now this time, I think I'd like to do a puzzle. So, what color should we do the puzzle? So, we'll start with black, just a touch. I'm going to just do very, very little black this time. I'm going to do two, just two. I just want to give it some background. And now I'm going to come in. The minute you see a bubble on your surface, get rid of it. Okay, so this time I'm going to be pretty uniform with these. I'm going to do 3, 2, 3, and same thing on this side. Okay. Now these are really super pretty colors together. This turquoise and red is absolutely gorgeous together. Okay, so I have a bubble in there. I need to get rid of that. The colors in this kit are very predictable. You know exactly what they're going to do, you know how they're going to work. So once you get used to that, you can do a lot of things with it. So I'm going to add a little bit of white. Well, actually I'm going to add exactly the same amount, 9 drops. And then I think I'm going to do a touch of yellow, and then I'm going to come back in and go the same direction again. I'm going to do the turquoise, red, and stop there. Okay, just remember, shake each time. So here's my turquoise. Giving it a quick shake. Now red just happens to be my favorite color today. I think it's fair to say I'm kind of a color junkie. I love color. So, but red has always been my favorite color. I think there was a time when it just looked great with my hair, but now it looks great in my house. Of course, it always looked great in my house. When I was in college, we had a red phone. We used to call it the bat phone. Well, everybody called it the bat phone. Okay, so now, this time, I just want to come in and just swirl. So let me show you what swirling is. That's where you come in. This is a very Ebru kind of thing to do. The patterns are really pretty. There's no rhyme or real reason to it. Just think of curly cues or you can do hearts through. Okay. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. Well, let me do that. I was happy, and then I felt another need to do more swirling. So there's that. So now we take one of our puzzles, and you want to keep it intact. You do not want to take it apart. Certainly not right now. Okay. So when you're going to set this down in here very carefully, and then okay, so now it's on the water, and that's okay. I'm going to just let it touch the back. I don't mind. Drop it in, and then gently. Do not ever go all the way to the bottom, but just gently push it in until the paint comes over the top. And that's how you get it to the, that's how you paint both the top and the bottom. Now this is not actually touching the bottom. So I'm going to bring this up here, and I'm going to let this run off of it a little bit. There's a lot of the water on here. Don't you want to know what it looks like? And here it goes. Woohoo! I love that. Okay, so now I'm going to let this run off a little more. I have a lot of water on here. And I'm going to whack this over, set it on some plastic. Okay, so now I'm going to leave these colors in here. Unlike other times when you take them out, I really like these colors, and I want to add to it. First I want to get the bubbles out. And this bubble is bugging me. Well, okay. If you can't get it out, drag it to the edge, so that it can't interfere. I don't know why this... There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to leave those colors exactly as they are, and I'm going to come in and I'm just going to add some other colors. So right over top of it, just like that. Okay, so when I clean this off, I notice that the bubbles get popped easier. So maybe that's why I do it. Okay, so this time I want to do the coasters. Wow, that purple is really awesome. Yeah, I'm going to put a little orange in here. Remember, shake. Yeah, I'm kind of in a red mood. Okay, so wait, let's add a little pink too. Okay. Yep, they pop much better when the stick is dry. Okay, so now I'm going to put some white in here. And I might do blue, another layer of blue, I think. And now the final layer I think is going to be red. Okay, so once again I have a couple of these bubbles. Pop. Okay, so now this time I'm going to use the wider side and watch what happens. Now I can take this a little further and I can do this. And this time I'll do a note card. Oh no, I'm sorry, coasters, doing the coasters. You know what, actually I really want to do a note card. So I'm going to do that. Just because I think this will look awesome on a note card. Okay, so when you do this, you want to have the scored side, the part where you're going to, you know, like this would be the inside, where, you know, the creases are sticking out. So I'm just going to lay it in here. There. I want to make sure everything is touching. Now what happens if it gets on the inside of the card? Nothing. The world doesn't blow up. Nothing happens. I mean, you'll have a little color on the inside of the card and that'll be it. Okay, so look at this. This is an absolutely beautiful card. Okay, so it's curling a little bit. That's okay. Just lay it flat on your plastic. Okay, so that was really pretty and really vibrant. And I think this could actually look pretty cool all by itself. But I think now is a good time to show you how to do the bird. So what I'm going to do, just because it's easier for me to do this, let me see if I can decrease this a little bit. Okay. Okay, so now we still have all these colors in here, and I think that would serve as a really pretty backdrop for the hummingbird. So I'm going to start with the black again. Now you can do this on both sides, but I'm only going to do it on one just because I want to show you how it's done. And it's more, I don't want to turn the tray over. Okay, so I'm just going to start with one drop of black right about here. And I'm going to be very careful to get my colors into the center of this dot as best I can. So I'm putting my 2 super spreaders out first. So it's not perfect, but it's close enough. Okay, don't want to have too many colors in here, but a few will do. So a little bit of white. And this is very important to get these as centered as possible. If you miss, sometimes you can get 2 pieces in one, and it's kind of a bummer when that happens because it's not at all what you want to happen. Okay, so this is more of a controlled kind of process. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue in. See, like a little bit cut on the side. That's okay because it's still kind of keeping those, the black, the red, the white, the blue, is keeping all those lines together, and that's exactly what I wanted to happen. Now what will happen too is that these lines will start to contract a little bit and they'll slowly start to come in. That's okay, I expect that to happen while I'm working. Okay, so now I will add a little bit of yellow. See how it's coming in? It's getting a little smaller and a little smaller and a little smaller. And that's good because I just have a little card. Okay, so there's my yellow, and I'm going to do one more white. And I'm going to let the whole thing contract. So there are just a few main steps to doing the bird. And I'm going to let this contract because I need it to be a little bit smaller. And the main color of our bird is going to be white. So see, it's coming in. It's getting smaller and smaller. And I want it to come in as much as I think it will go in, without absolutely just breaking down in the water. So this might even be too big for this space, but here we go. Okay, so I'm going to clean off my stick, and I've got several swoops. Okay, so I'm coming in from this corner, and I'm going to go down and over. Okay, and this is actually creating the tail, well, the back part of the tail. Okay, so just like that. Kind of like a sideways heart. But it's actually at an angle, so it's at about this much of an angle. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a little swirl right in here, and then I'm going to pull this out. And what I'm doing is pulling the face out. Okay, I'm creating the wing and all that all at once. And there it is. So there's the back part of the tail. Here's the face, and here's the wing. So how do I know this is the wing? Because I'm about to make it the wing. You take it each one, you're pulling it in. Oops, see, I didn't get it all the way there. So now I want an eyeball here, so I just put the stick all the way through. So it's a pretty big eyeball, but that's okay. So now we're going to do this on a note card. And the key, obviously, is that we want to get our bird. And I'll do this again for you so you can see it again. Oh, this is tricky. Sorry, I've got poles and cords and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm getting as much of this bird as I can. Again, this side is down. Okay. I think I missed part of the beak. Not the end of the world. Just want to make sure I got it all. Okay. And here we go. And that's upside down for you, so how's that for right side up? And the card will bend right about here when it's eventually dry. Okay, so once again, I'm going to leave those colors in there, and I'm going to add a different kind of backdrop in here. I'm just going to add a little bit of black, nothing too crazy. And I really like the purple that I'm seeing, so I want to add to that. I just think it looks pretty. Add a little bit of white. I want it to be a little bit more random. Okay. So even though I have those other colors in the background, I'm going to try to stick to the warmer side of the palette. So, and I want to end with probably red. Okay, so that. Actually, I'm going to end with blue. Okay, so I promised I would show you another bird, but I'm going to show you two things in one now. So first, we're going to do this. We're going to do some fun swirling. Okay, like that. Now we're going to come in. I'm going to start with green this time because I know the green, oh, we just don't have a lot of green in here. So that green's not expanding very much. I'll give it a few seconds. There, that blue will push it out. Okay, you know, actually I'm going to do a little bit of yellow. A little bit of orange, because I don't really have a lot. And last drop will be white. Okay, so now let's do the bird again. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do the straight shot from here to here. Okay, we're going to take it and we're going to come out. Then we're going to take this, swirl in. Then we're going to come in from the outside. Now our outer line is like a blue-green, or it was actually green. So we're going to go to our most outer line. Okay. Now you can come in and pick up a color. I don't think I want red eyes, but you can come in and pick up a color on your stick, and you can drop that color into the eye. And you can pull that tail out a little bit. So now we have our bird again. And we'll do this on another note card. And this time we should be able to have the whole thing in. Okay, so okay. Okay, I'm going to turn it this way, and then I'm just going to scrape it out. A little bit of color got on the inside of the card. I just don't think that's a big deal. And here it is. So when the card folds, it'll be right around here. Very pretty. Okay, so I'll set this down. And now I think I want to clean out this color. I think it's starting to degrade a little bit. So I'll turn this around so you can watch. I'm just going to let that sit in there for a second. See? Okay. Okay, so I have some color that is down on the bottom. I will never worry about those colors on the bottom because they don't matter. Even if it's just below the surface, which some of these are, I even have some bubbles that are below the surface. Again, those don't matter to us. We don't care. Okay, so now let's do the coasters. I think a fun swirl would be good. Okay, this time I'm going to start with blue because it's in my hands. It's kind of random. I was going to go with all the warmer colors before, but I ended up not doing that. This might be the time to do some flowers. actually, I'm going to do another note card, and then I'm going to do flowers for those. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave this in here. And I'm just going to do some minor swirling. There we go. Okay, good. Okay, so okay, so flowers are actually not tremendously complicated. It's about bringing it in. So I'm looking at these, and I know that we have red on the really kind of outside, but I'm going to focus on the green. So I'm going to bring the green in, and go very careful because you've got the green for different flowers. So I'm just bringing the green in for this particular flower. And that's it. Now see how this green is in there? I'm going to pull it in, in. So you're going like a clover, and then you pull it in one more time, like, so you're kind of pulling it in a total of 8 times. There. So same thing here. We're going to go 1, 2, just to the edge, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing. We see it's right there, so we're going to pull it in. 1, very slowly. 2, 3, 4. There's your clover. Now here's your flower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. First we do the clover part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the flower. 1 in between the clovers. 3, 4. So just from the green. So 1, 2, being careful not to pull the other flower over with it. Clover, now flower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can do the same thing with the purple. So we bring it all the way into the purple. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just from the green. So 1. If you get a little of the red, it's not the end of the world. But what you're really doing is dragging these colors through to the middle. And now you have these really pretty flowers. And I just hate to waste them. So this time we're going to do the coasters. I wanted to show you something where they were right up against each other, but I really like the idea of getting the purple in them. With a, you know, like getting at least 3. So I'm going to set this down in there. And now I'm going to try to get my 3 here. Okay, so what does this look like, right? Here we go. We got a big blob here. Oh, we ended up with shit. This one turned out beautiful. Alright, so we're going to take this, swirl it, and guess what we have now? A note card. Always make sure your hands are dry. Even with gloves on, make sure your gloves are dry every time you pick up something that you're about to paint. So here, watch what happens when I start moving this tray, or moving this piece in the tray. lines. Can you see those? It looks like they're folds. See how the color drops to the bottom? Not our concern. Don't worry about it. Don't fuss about it. It will not affect your work. Okay, so let's do some fun stuff. I'm just adding some random color in. I don't care if it's more concentrated or okay, so same thing, just a little random color. Okay. Okay, here we go. So here's a flower. So you're going from the outer part, our outer edge is red, green. So we're going to do 4 like a clover, and then we're going to come into the middle of each of these sections. And there's our flower. So I'll show you again. From the outer, pull it in. That should have been a little straighter, but okay, now let's do something a little different. Now we go out, and this is how you get butterflies. One, and now out. Okay. And this is the end of this session. And here it is. It's always fun to look at even when you're cleaning it. Alright. So that is a wrap for tonight.